Marvel Legend fans! Once again, it's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to all of the absolutely amazing contributions from my Optibotimus Plus channel members, we're going to be taking a look at the new Marvel Legends X-Men Age of Apocalypse Sabertooth, part of the new Colossus Build-A-Figure wave. This was one I was really looking forward to ever since we got Wild Child in that first wave of figures, because Wild Child was kind of like a giant accessory for Sabertooth. And we could tell right away that that chain that Wild Child came with would be something that could be incorporated with this guy. So my fingers were crossed way back then we would get more, and here we are. For the package, as you can see, much like a lot of the Marvel Legend figures, you do have the open window that fully showcases them, the logos right up there, and of course right down there. Got a gorgeous image of Apocalypse and then Sabertooth right there on the side, looking very Sabertoothy. Same side here, come around the back. You got all the other figures in this wave that when you collect these ones here, not Magneto because he doesn't come with a Build-A-Figure piece, but when you collect these 6 figures, you can build the Marvel Legends version of the Age of Apocalypse Colossus. And you can see you got a little bit of a read-up right here that says, after betraying Apocalypse and making his escape, Sabertooth joins with the mutant rebels, the X-Men, to fight for good in a harsh, dystopian future. As with all of these, the read-up here is so incredibly vague and lacking in all the character development that this guy had. I'll do a little bit of a storytelling on him in a bit, but suffice it to say, he was actually one of Apocalypse's horsemen. But for the packaging on him, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Victor Crete, otherwise known as Sabertooth, opened up and out of his packaging. And Sabertooth isn't interesting because while I've talked about how a lot of characteristic traits that we know with these certain characters are still inherently there, he's a little bit different. Originally recruited by Apocalypse due to his intense tracking ability, he quickly rised the ranks to become actually one of the Horsemen of Apocalypse. He turned out to be very valuable to the evil master and was used quite often to find new mutants, both to either kill them or capture them to, unbeknownst to Sabertooth, be experimented on, courtesy of Mr. Sinister. On one such raid, he discovered a huge group of kids hiding out. Now, any other of the horsemen would have absolutely killed him, but Sabertooth decided to try and help him. He succeeded in allowing some of them to get away, but he was confronted by Holocaust and was severely injured by him. I think something like actually severing his spine. It was at this time that he ended up getting locked at, I think it was Alcatraz, in a cell with Wild Child, who looks a lot like this guy. And they fought for a very, very long time in that cell. Really never one of them getting an advantage over the other until Sabertooth completely went berserk, embracing his completely feral self, finally defeated Wild Child, which, oddly enough, kind of established a dominance with him over Wild Child, completely making this dude subservient to him. When they worked together, they were able to escape, but not before running into another little feral guy by the name of Wolverine, or at the time known as Weapon X. And during an intense, almost stare down between the two, Wolverine actually did decide to take him to the X-Men and allowed him to join up. And that usefulness that he had carried over to the X-Men themselves, as he knew where a lot of those secret pins were. When they discovered that there was a whole thing that was going to be happening in Chicago, I think it was, these guys decided to go off with the X-Men and try to stop that. Blink was there, and Victor Sabertooth really pleaded with Blink to transport him to fight Holocaust. It's kind of a way to even the score, give him more time, all that stuff. And another huge, massive battle ensued, with Sabertooth basically coming out on top by massively destroying Nemesis or Holocaust's bodysuit, which basically keeps him alive. But then pretty much after that, he disappeared and ended up becoming lost in time. Basically what happened was he was plucked from this timeline and joined up to kind of help sever other little splinters that this whole timeline caused. So, I mean, like I was saying, a lot of these characters have a very similar story, but it's slightly different, and the characteristic traits that they have in that normal verse that we kind of associate with them still is there, but their upbringing kind of makes it a little bit different. It's interesting because he's inherently a good guy. He's very much like Wolverine in a lot of respects, but the nature of things had him turn into a bad guy in what we know as the normal universe. And in the Age of Apocalypse, while still having a lot of those same tendencies, he's inherently a good guy. Now, for his accessories, and this is what I was talking about before, you know, you get a lot of stuff with this guy, whereas somebody like Cyclops doesn't really come with much. So in addition to these claw fists, or these claw hands that we have that on him, or that are on him, he also comes with a pair of fists, which is nice. Extra hands, right? Cool. I get it. You know, they're the same. You got a little metal piece on that one, matches on that, and then you have a bare one here, which, you know, obviously matches with all that kind of stuff. You got that little bracelet sort of thing there, so that kind of carries down. So it makes sense. You also do get an alternate portrait for him, which is really very cool. Coming in to take a closer look, you can see that this is a much more angry look for him, whereas this one has a little bit more of a smirk. I kind of dig this, but this one definitely has a little bit more of that Wolverine or Sabertooth vibe. But that little smart-ass smirk is really cool. I really dig that. And then for his Build-A-Figure piece, he comes with the head of Colossus himself. I should say that I think I screwed up some of it, but he did end up battling Colossus and, of course, Kitty Pryde, who ends up becoming the lover of him. So for him to come with the head, you know, it's kind of cool. But you can see Colossus has a very similar look, very angry, and then you've got this whole head bandana and this little piece here. I'll talk about this when we get to the review of the guy, but I don't like how that's all kind of there. That's kind of ugly itself. And then, obviously, you got Wild Child here, which you can take this thing here, and I think I messed it up in the original review, but you got a little kind of grabbing thing right here that allows you to kind of connect that to him. And then you can take this, and you can see how it's positioned. You can very easily wrap his hand around this. Yeah, well, when I say easily, I guess not as easily as you would expect. Here, let's try this. I'm going to pull that off and just take that, kind of feed that through. So essentially what you have is now a big, giant accessory for Sabertooth. That looks better. Still not all that great, but you can do that. Attach that. Just futz with it a little bit. Kind of get it looking as best as you can. And, I mean, that's cool. Love the fact that you can do something like that. I mean, he's a little bit difficult to stand, but you can do something. Yeah, there we go. All right. I love that. I think that's totally cool because, again, Wild Child was basically, like I said, subservient to Sabertooth and was basically his pet of sorts. So this is fantastic. And like I said, basically gives you a dual accessory, that a master for him and a pet for him. I mean, that is super cool. I legit cannot be happier with that. And of course, because of that little bracelet thingy here, I guess that's kind of like another little accessory. So moving them off to the side. You also do have to attach his hair. Both of them have that hair thing on there, and then because it's a ball joint, you pop that off. You know what? I wonder, can you make that look really stupid? I mean, all of them are pretty much the same. Oh, that doesn't really fit, so I guess you can't really put that on there, but that would look really dumb. But let's see. Let's put the angry face on there because I like it. You also are seeing that, I think I talked about it before with Rogue, where they all seem to have this weird round thing. I mean, you can see he had it too, Rogue had it, Magneto has it. They all kind of have it. That's kind of interesting. But a bigger figure, as you can see, I put the other ones away. Here's the just general, I forgot this dude's name, but you can see he's a general size for him. So again, there's a balance with some of these figures where he's clearly bigger, comes with more accessories, and then somebody like Cyclops comes with barely anything. Articulation-wise, the head is on a ball joint. The ponytail is on a swivel, so you can kind of move that around. You also have that hinge at the neck, so you get a good range of motion. Pin hinge joints, swivels. This guy's got only one bend here at the actual elbow, which is perfectly fine for me. The rotation, the hinge, you have a ab crunch, the swivel, forward and back at the hips. You got the rotation at the thigh, two bends at the knee itself. You do have, do you have a boot cut? No boot cut. But I feel like there would be a boot cut there, but I guess not. You have a forward and back ankle pivot, and then of course the hacky sack pose, where you hacky sack with it. All in all, though, I mean, I do really, really love this guy. I feel like this is the arm that you would want to use for Wild Child. So maybe I'll play with that. But I really love the way that this guy turned out. To be honest, this is the first Sabertooth figure that I have in my collection, as I was never able to get that Marvel Legend one that has that 90s look to him. But this is perfectly fine. I'm super thrilled with the way that this guy turned out. Absolutely would recommend picking him up. If you are an X-Men fan, Age of Apocalypse fan, as with all of these ones, they're amazing figures. They're really well done. They look the part. And for me, they are the best representations of these characters that we've ever got. I do think that Toy Biz gave us a version of this. I don't remember exactly, but there have been a few Age of Apocalypse figures that have come out, but these ones now are the absolute best. So there you go, guys. My look at the new Age of Apocalypse Marvel Legends Colossus Build-A-Figure Sabertooth. If you'd like to pick this guy up or any of the other Marvel Legend figures, you can do so online at places like Big Bad Toy Store or Amazon. For both of those places, I'll put links right down there in the video description. Christmas is coming up, so why not get some of these and add them to your collection today? I also like to send a huge shout out to all of you guys who watch my videos. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you all for watching and taking the time to be a kid.